Folks, I just finished a project that has been taking me 2 years. And it's a new series that I've done on the Gospel of John. I've mentioned it on my show a couple of times. But I wanted to give some background on this because, a lot of people think the only books of the Bible or the only subjects I ever study are prophecy. But my favorite book in the Bible is not the book of Revelation. It's the Gospel of John. That may sound strange to you, but it is. And I have probably taught the Gospel of John verse by verse around 100 times. And yet this particular series that I did on the Gospel of John surpasses anything the Lord's ever done through me. And it has 35 CDs which go through as I trace verse by verse through this book. You say, well, you know how we like to hear you on prophecy. We don't want to hear anything about the Gospel of John. Well, let me tell you something. As I will show in the introduction to the Gospel of John here, this is a unique study because I don't know of anyone else who's ever brought to bear the historical background of the Gospel of John and why it was written. First of all, do you know what is the best-selling book in the history of the world? Well, immediately everybody says the Bible. And you know what? That's not true. The best-selling book in the history of the world is a book out of the Bible, the Gospel of John. We find more fragments of the Gospel of John than any other book of the Bible because this was a book that was written to be read by people to bring them to faith in Jesus Christ. So it was kind of God's tract to introduce people to the Son of God, Jesus Christ, and to bring them to faith in Him. In fact, the purpose is clearly stated in John chapter 20, verse 31, where in verse 30, John says, many other things Jesus did which are not written in this book, but these were written for the purpose that you might come to know that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that believing you may have faith in His name. Now, that's clearly the purpose. And there are other statements that are made in this that shows that John wrote this gospel at the urging of the elders of the church of Ephesus, where he had ministered. But he wrote it after he returned from exile in the Isle of Patmos. You know, the Romans sent him off to die there. It was a penal colony on the island of Patmos. And while he was there, well, they didn't anticipate that he would lead a number of the hardened criminals there to faith in Jesus, and they became apparently his bodyguards and kept him alive. So he lived through that whole horrible period until the edict that had sentenced him there was taken away, and a new Caesar came to power. And so he was released. He went back to Ephesus. And it was after he had had the awesome revelation about Jesus after his resurrection that we see in the book of Revelation that he wrote the Gospel of John. Now, that throws a whole new light on what is written and why it's written the way it is in the Gospel of John. Because you see, John writes it from the standpoint of one who has seen the unveiled, resurrected glory of Jesus. And then he goes back to his true memories of the time that he spent with Jesus when he was here on earth. And he sees all of these events through the eyes of one who has actually seen the unveiled power of the Son of God in His resurrection beauty and His resurrection awesome power. And that gives it a whole new light. And when you study the Gospel of John with that constantly in mind, it gives it a whole new importance and meaning, and it becomes thrilling. You know, I taught this live to a group here in Palm Desert, and I did it because I wanted them to come to an experience of the person of Jesus that through the grace of God I had come to studying the Gospel of John. And it's had that impact not only on them, but those who have gotten a hold of some of these CDs about that. So you may say, well, this is sure a long commercial. Well, I don't intend it to be a commercial. I just want to share something with you that I think is really, really I'd say, the capstone of the ministry and the study that God has given me in the 50-something years that I've been a Christian minister. So this is the Gospel of John album. 35 CDs that trace through, verse by verse, my study of the Gospel of John. This will take you on a seminary level of study, and yet there's one thing I always pray for, and that's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. In other words, keep things so simple that anyone can understand it. And I believe that through the grace of God and the power of the Holy Spirit, I've done that. So if you're interested in this, you are on my website, you wouldn't be seeing this. Just go to the order section and find out about how you can order this. I believe it'll not only bless you, but it will enable you to bless others. And so, God bless you, and I hope that this will bless you too.